Hello, friends. Welcome inside, at least for me, Ben Garrett. I don't even have the music blaring yet. It's been a heck of a morning. There it is. And it says Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at SpiritBit on Twitter. That's Brad Logan at Brad_Logan on the Twitters. If you haven't already, subscribe, rate, review Talk of Champions in iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, frankly. And when you do, leave us a 5-star review. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as it's 5 stars. And that QR code right above my friend Brad Logan's head is for the Ole Miss Spirit. And if you sign up today as a new member, you get half off an annual subscription. That's the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, the fit of On3. Hello, Brad Logan. How you doing? As people start to trickle in here, it's my fault. We should have had a bunch ready to roll, but it's been a morning. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Just kind of recapping in my mind this past weekend and just doing some mental gymnastics about how this baseball team did, about sweeping LSU, winning the series against Florida, and now with the upcoming series against Tennessee. We'll get all up in it over the next couple of weeks and next couple of days, I should say, as the coming weeks get rolling. But, yeah, you look at this team now, 8-7. I'm kind of all in with this baseball team about how well from a senior leadership, from how well Taylor Ray pitched, and then we'll talk as we heard from Mike Bianco yesterday, talk about the leadership on this team, and it was a really good weekend for Ole Miss.
It was. What do you make? First of all, before I ask that question, I'll say our first comment in the chat from Nate Goforth. He got engaged on Saturday. Congratulations, Nate. Congratulations. It's unsolicited, but I'll give you one piece of advice as someone who will celebrate his 16th year of marriage to his bride in June. Give each other grace, show each other love, pour all of your energy into each other, even the energy that you will need to use from her to get over your own crap, right? Always remember it's you and her first, and everything else is got to be secondary of this earth outside of God. Put God first, then your wife second, and then your kids if God blesses you in that way. But there's nothing greater, but you have to have the attitude of this is who I'm here for. Like you exhibit your love for God through your love of your spouse. So I wish you nothing but the best, Nate. Congratulations. Fred Jesus, congratulations. Also threw in a hottie toddy as we're watching the highlights of the Ole Miss win over LSU on Sunday. His wedding's on July 18th. Again, congratulations in order. Congratulations to you, Fred G. This weekend, both of you got early wedding presents because Ole Miss swept LSU. You're seeing the highlights on your screen right now, Brad. What do you make, though? Because I look at the weekend that was and what Ole Miss put together. We said they needed to win the series, period. I mean, it was critical to keep pace as far as a regional host. And now they sweep away LSU, one of the most convincing series wins, if not the most convincing series wins so far. We got Mike Clement coming on Wednesday, and yet Division I baseball has Ole Miss still sitting at number 25.
We have to talk about that.
Yes, we do, because I'm trying to understand it myself. I was getting prepared in the small time I had to prepare for the show. I was going through some stuff. I see Arkansas has got the exact same record and a worse RPI, yet they're ranked 13th, and Ole Miss doesn't move. I'm just curious as someone who pays attention to that stuff more than I do. What do you make of that?
I don't understand it. I thought it was a situation to where, and I hate to use a wrestling term, work, but it feels like that's kind of what at this point D1 baseball is just kind of let's see how. And look, let's be honest here. Polls don't mean anything, but what it does is it's a business. And Kendall Rogers and his team do a really good job from a business standpoint. Name me the top 3 to 5 fan bases in the country for college baseball. Would Ole Miss be in that top 5, in your opinion, Ben?
Yes.
So, hey, if I'm in a business, if I'm at 6 a.m., I've got my business call. I'm just assuming some things here. D1 baseball, I've got my team on a Zoom or we're in a building. How can we generate some content this week? Hey, let's unrank Ole Miss. I'm not saying that's what they did. No rationale where you can say that Ole Miss shouldn't move when they swept a team that was ahead of them. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm not knocking them. In fact, I'm halfway respecting D1 baseball for generating the content because they're doing a really good job at it. Here's much more important than rankings. When the team went up 7-0, Taylor Ray was throwing a no-hitter. And I thought, okay, he's throwing a no-hitter. This is incredible. Home run, pull him. Here comes Help me out. The guy that's been the normal Sunday starter.
Landon, you're talking about Will Libbert.
Yep, here comes Libbert. Home run, walk. I think there was a double. Here comes Calhoun. You see where I'm going with this.
But like those two pitches right there, those were hangers, man.
I know.
And
I'm not saying Taylor ran out of gas, but maybe he did, but he was working a no-hitter. It felt to me like, wow, this has been going so well for Ole Miss over the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Get 3 runs in the bottom half of the 7th, game over, run rule. You run rule LSU twice. But that didn't happen. And to Mike's credit, and to Will Furness's credit, and to Judd Udemark's credit, the leadership on this team.
Back to back to back. I mean, that was a 97-mile-an-hour just straight.
It was.
Here's one thing I've learned watching baseball my entire life, man. I can't remember who said it. I want to say it was like on a Braves broadcast one time. Now, these aren't big leaguers, but they're aspiring big leaguers, and these are 2 of the better teams in college baseball, 2 top 25 teams. It doesn't matter how hard you throw. Professional baseball players or aspiring professional baseball players, those guys can time up a jet if it's straight enough. You know what I mean? And that was just way too straight because Will Libbert's all speed stuff is there, but man, his 97 is just a dead 97. But yeah, rewatching this inning, it took too long to take out Taylor Rabe, especially after he gave. I mean, those 2 home runs were off of pitches that were just cookies. But at the end of all things, you won it. You swept them away. That's what you needed to get done to keep pace both in the race for a regional host and even more than that, wash away in many ways the disgusting.
That's the play of the game, by the way.
Play of the game. Yeah.
But I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're right. I mean,
in your mouth after Mississippi State. I mean, that Mississippi State, it felt like it could go one of 2 ways after Mississippi State. And credit to Ole Miss for going the other way. And what you're watching right now, Walker Hooks, man, what a revelation he has been, right? I mean, he has emerged as Ole Miss's best late inning relief option. So a lot of good things that came from that game yesterday, notwithstanding coughing up a 7-0 lead against one of your rivals. Yeah, but it's they did what they were supposed to do. And if you're an Ole Miss fan, like it should be an exciting time for you. You've been on the precipice of doubt or belief for a long time this year, been riding kind of a roller coaster with them. This weekend was exactly what it needed to be, Brad.
Yep, and we asked Mike Bianco at the end of the game, and he leaned into, once again, the leadership on this team. And I truly believe, and he pointed out after that sweep by Mississippi State, this was a team that could have went a couple different ways, but he leaned into the leadership. And I truly believe that Will Furness and Judd Udemark, I said it a moment ago, I'll say it again, that's why the team, when they allowed LSU to come back, they just got together, didn't allow any more damage, 7-7, come in, just went to work. And Brad Henderson, the Ole Miss Radio Network, I've said it, I'm blue in the face, leadoff walks will kill you. And that's exactly what happened. And leadoff walks just absolutely destroyed Ole Miss. Destroyed LSU. Ole Miss scores a run, they win the game, and they sweep LSU.
Here's what Mike Bianco said about leadership.
Yeah, I think you guys asked Furnace, and the guys said, no, we're going to be fine. We got leadership. We're going to be good. And to this point, that's shown up. Those guys have played, their best ball for this, the last couple weeks. But that's the biggest takeaway from that.
He's right, man. I mean, the biggest takeaway so far has been the leadership of this team, regardless of what the outcomes have been what like the trend lines have been for this team. They just continue to show up, and it would have been a lot easier for them to have folded up shop and say, woe is us or whatever it might be. I don't care about the ranking either. They should be ranked higher, but the fact that they got done what they needed to get done is huge and on a number of fronts, not the least of which the pursuit of a regional host. Joining us now is On3 national portal wizard, like the dude. It's Pete Nakos. Hey, Pete, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good. How are you doing, man? Are you sleeping much right now? I know this is your busy season.
Yeah, it's not as busy as football because football is my thing. I'm just kind of helping out with basketball, but yeah, I'm sleeping fine.
Okay, you're sleeping fine. Good. I'm glad to hear it, man. Right now, as you kind of consider what all is going on with the portal for not just Ole Miss, but for everybody in general, the amount of talent that's gone in. Just what's your overall view of the portal this cycle, the basketball portal, the amount of names and all that kind of stuff? Is it more or less? Is it about the same? Like, what is the activity like right now in the portal in terms of what it has been and kind of where it's going?
Yeah, so let me check here. So we're at over 2,000 college basketball D1 transfers at this point.
Jeez.
I think the best way to describe this is it's as crazy as football was, right? Everyone had this concept. Now it's a misconception that the money was going to go down with revenue sharing, but it's only gone up because players are still asking for the same amount of money. It happened in football and it's happening in basketball now too. So the dollars are still high. The amount of players entering are still sky high. And it's leaving rosters across the country like needing to add anywhere from like 5 to 8 guys in the portal. Like Louisville like had a really good weekend, right? They went forward Badunga and Jackson Chelstad, and everyone's like, oh wow, they have a great portal class. Well, they still have to like go add 7 or 8 more guys so they can have a full roster next season. So that's kind of what you're dealing with across the board. And I know we'll get into it more here and stuff, but there's a lot of programs who still have a ton of work to do after the first weekend of the portal.
Pete, I want to talk about football just for a moment. I had a chance to visit with you at the SEC men's basketball tournament, and I really enjoyed visiting with you and Chris. And I want to kind of pick up on that conversation that we had. How do you think Pete? How do you think Pete has done? Pete Golding has done in the portal so far, and what are your thoughts on Ole Miss and the transfer portal, and kind of getting ready for the season as it's a couple of months away?
Yeah, when you talk about Ole Miss football and the transfer portal, you have to start with the fact that they kept Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey out of the portal. And I think it kind of all starts there and goes from there. Listen, what Pete Golding's done in making sure that Ole Miss is where it was at this time last year, right? And not changing what the expectations are and things like that. I think that's off the charts. Obviously, for people who know Pete, like that's not how he's wired. But at the same time, going through the coaching change they did, and all the drama that came with that on and off the field, that was going to be a big ask. And I think he's accomplished that. Now, I mean, you move past that, and they did everything I thought they needed to do for the most part in the football portal. You kind of go through, they add, Horatio Fields, the Auburn wide receiver, they add some talent there. They pick up Tony Mitchell. They pick up Mekhi Frazier, the running back from Michigan State. That had a lot of interest from across the board to kind of give Kewan Lacey some more help in the backfield. There's plenty of other guys too. Darryl Gill, the Syracuse wide receiver. So I think they did a lot in the portal that they needed to, and now it's going to be exciting to see how it all kind of comes together in Pete Golding's first year.
Pete Nakos from On3 joining us. Pete, I'd like to ask you kind of a 10,000 feet view question. I was asked this, and I'd love your thoughts. When you look at Ole Miss, and obviously the roster is really good for Pete Golding, but what is on, and people that aren't inside the bubble are wondering, with Lane Kiffin off to LSU, with Charlie Jr. off to LSU, and a lot of the administrators, the coaches, are no longer on this staff. How much is that, in your opinion, going to play into the upcoming season with Pete Golding being more of a defensive guy, John David Baker coming in as the OC? How do you see this team differing from last year, and is that going to be a huge component of the season in a couple of months?
Listen, I bet we could talk for a while about if it could have an impact, but I think at the end of the day, this team had so much success last year because of the players, and they're going to have success this year because of the players. Trinidad Chambliss, what he's done, making the jump from Ferry State to Ole Miss is unlike anything we've seen in college football. And Kewan Lacey just might be the most explosive running back in the sport. So you have guys like that, and then you have the Pete Golding on defense. That's always going to give you a good shot on that side of the ball. I have to think that things aren't going to change there. Obviously, new OC coming in, things like that can change. But you also have a whole offseason to kind of figure it out before you go on the field week 1 against Louisville.
Pete, what are your kind of overall views of President Trump, along with the different commissioners, Greg Sankey, the Southeastern Conference, the possible changes coming to college football? Number one, do you think there are ever any changes that would come? How fast you think they're coming? Just kind of your thoughts about the new words that have been said by Donald Trump in the documents that have come out.
Yeah, that executive order was signed now. It's 10 days ago now, give or take. Listen, that executive order is not going to change the entire landscape of college football immediately. It's not going to, produce wholesale changes immediately. Um, could some changes come because of it come August? Maybe. But really, what this executive order does is really just push along congressional legislation and things like that. So I, I think the best answer to that is just to wait and see, and the other reality too that President Trump talked about this even before he signed the executive order was, hey, this is going to get brought into the courtroom. Hopefully, we get a judge that likes us because it easily could get dismissed. So a lot of it's up in the air, and a lot of it, Ross Dellinger, who writes for us too now once a week at On3, wrote last week too, just about how some of the transfer legislation and rules that President Trump put in his executive order might not actually be enforceable. So I'm not an attorney. My younger brother's trying to be an attorney, so I'll let him answer those questions, but I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, I just say a lot of it is up in the air.
We need to get baby bro Nakos on here to be like the On3 legal consultant. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because my next question would be like, is there anything that we might see in the short term, right, pushed up against the season from that executive order be put into play? Is there anything out there that might go, oh, that's something that changed from it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think the one thing you'd see change is, like new NCAA rule book and rules set for it'd be the 26-27 academic year where you see athletes can only transfer once and then they'll have to sit a year if they transfer again. We could see the NCAA do something like that. But like I said, that's going to be litigated like crazy.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, Mississippi people know about litigation in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Better than anybody, Pete. You know what I mean? Like they're hanging in, man. They're ready for that.
Hey, Pete Nakos from On3, thanks for joining us. Real quick, kind of looking at the world of the SEC and kind of what you're looking at next year. Obviously, a lot of questions coming in with a lot of teams. Some not as many. You've got Arch Manning at Texas. Ole Miss faces the Longhorns in Austin this year. You've got Ole Miss has never lost to Oklahoma. They've got to return a trip to Brent Venables and the Sooners this year. Kind of the overall view of the SEC, Pete, what are you kind of looking for as we're talking here in April? What are you excited about seeing in the upcoming season, and who are some teams you're kind of excited about watching?
Yeah, I'm excited to see if Texas can put it together because, boy, did they have an off season. I mean, you add Cam Coleman. I don't know if there's a more explosive player in the sport next to Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman. So you look at it like that. You want to see if Texas can put together, if Arch can take the next step. Alabama had the spring game over the weekend. Keelan Russell looked really good. So that quarterback battle is something we're all watching going into the fall. Oklahoma, year two, John Mateer. It is a healthier John Mateer, better for Oklahoma. Can they, they made the college football playoff. Can they continue to get back there? There's kind of like intriguing questions across the board right now. Texas A&M makes the first CFP in program history. Are they back? They had a really good portal class. Does it all come together? Things like that. And then there's other questions too, like the pressure is going to ratchet up at South Carolina on Shane Beamer. Jeff Levy has Kamario Taylor back. Can they win some more games in the SEC? There's a lot of questions and a lot of intrigue kind of all across the board, in my opinion.
For you, what's the biggest question, here's a better way to frame it, because Ole Miss did work in the portal too. You mentioned Cam Coleman as being like one of the most impact players from the portal. When you look at Ole Miss's haul and that kind of impact, who sticks out to you potentially as guys that Ole Miss could rely on? Not necessarily at the level of Cam Coleman because, man, he's top of the list, but like, what do you really like about what Ole Miss added in terms of impact?
So what I like what they did the most that has nothing to do with wide receiver Ben is I think what they did in the running back room to make sure that Kewan Lacey is 110% when they're making the push for an SEC championship in the playoff. And I think that could really come out huge for them down the stretch. So I like what they did there. I think the wide receivers they brought in are proven, but obviously it's a little different trying to prove it in the SEC. So I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Pete, if you could look at the SEC, who are a couple teams that have done really well in the portal, in your opinion?
Ole Miss, LSU, Texas. Are we just talking this year? Or are we talking like
pretty much this year, heading into the season? Who during this particular offseason? I know you're very close to the portal. Just curious, just some teams that you think have done really well.
Yeah, A&M, LSU. Ryan Silverfield did a heck of a job trying to turn a roster around in a short period of time. So we'll see how that one looks like. But they did a great job making sure they brought in enough players to put a roster together. You kind of keep going down the list. Texas, Florida did a very nice job. I thought they landed Eric Singleton, the Auburn transfer wide receiver, who has that previous relationship with offense coordinator Buster Faulkner. He had a huge catch in the spring game over the weekend. Not sure if you saw that. Um, you know, Teams like that, Ole Miss, obviously, and Vanderbilt. I don't know if they brought in the top portal class in the country, but they also did sign a 5-star and flip them from Georgia and Jerry Curtis. So I think that you can't talk about the SEC right now without talking about that.
The linebacker room at Ole Miss, someone asked a question, and that's a room that we've looked at pretty heavily. Luke Farrelly and then Keaton Thomas. What are your thoughts about those two linebackers heading to Ole Miss?
Yeah. Sorry, just looking at my phone real quick. Luke Farrelly, he's going to have so much attention on him, man, after everything that Dabo did and Clemson did. I mean, I'm excited to see him. I think he's a good player, but everyone is going to know his name now. So that's going to be an interesting thing to keep tabs on.
What do you and do you think anything comes of that stuff, the tampering stuff? I mean, what do you make of it?
Listen, whenever a coach goes that public and claims to have the evidence he does that Dabo did, obviously the NCAA is going to take note. All that said too, like the NCAA does not want to talk about it when it's in the process of going on. So it's really tough to tell, but I'll tell you what, I know that they've definitely made some phone calls and are definitely investigating it, but I can't tell you like definitively right now what's going to come of it.
Well, this is the Eric Singleton play that you were talking about. Eric Singleton went to Auburn last year, and it was a disappointment for him. I mean, $2 million, but now back at Florida. I mean, gone to Florida, and now back with Buster Faulkner, who's his OC at Georgia Tech. That's a good one. I'm glad you pointed out, man, because he's one that Ole Miss wanted out of the portal, and that's a dude that, like, new place, same face, but, man, like, I could see that being a good fit for him and him kind of rediscovering what made him so coveted to begin with, Pete.
Yeah, no, I agree. They also added another guy too. Like Florida's wide receiver room this year is going to be deep. So if they can put it all together, like that'll be fun to watch because they added Micah Mace. He's a Wake Forest transfer. He had like 4 catches for 120 something yards in the spring game too. So I don't know if that has more to say about the talent of the wide receiver room or Florida secondary. I think we'll find out in September, but they definitely added some talent in the receiver room that should be fun to watch.
Pete, a ton of turnover this year in head coaches. And in fact, Ole Miss plays 2 of them, Auburn, Alex Golesh, and of course, Florida, John Summerall. How would you rate those hires for Auburn and Florida respectively?
I mean, I like both of the hires. I think what John Summerall brings is needed at Florida. And Alex Golesh has a history of winning at USF. And he, I've talked to both of them plenty this offseason, but Alex Golesh specifically seems to have a grip of this is the history at Auburn. We haven't had a winning season for this long. I'm well aware of all the, they're not rumors, but, the gossip of how boosters seem to get pretty involved at Auburn. And he's like, hey, man, like, I have a plan. I know I'm going to handle this. And we need to raise money, but at the same time, I'm not going to have anyone telling me who to put on the field and stuff like that. So I think he has a good approach. I think they both have pretty good approaches. And now it's just, how quickly can they win? What do the rosters look like? Can they get some recruiting wins this, April, May, and June? So we'll see. You guys know it more than ever too. It is what it is, but like no one, like you don't have like a 5-year plan anymore. It probably has to be like a 2 or 3 year plan. So I think that has completely changed how people approach the job when they get the job.
Well, there are a couple of questions from the chat. First from @Pat0311. What are Pete's thoughts on shrimp and grits?
I live in Nashville now, so I've had plenty of shrimp and grits. I mean, I'm not comparing it to Mississippi shrimp and grits, but it's closer to the Southern shrimp and grits. Am I going to be in Oxford September? I think everyone in the freaking country wants to be in Oxford on September 19th. So I'm going to try, but I'm also not going to lie that I mean, they're going to need like 3 overflow press boxes. So we'll see if I can get in.
Well, maybe I'll just like me and Brad will sit you right there beside us, put you right in the
Yeah.
middle. Here's the problem, Pete. When you sit by me, you're going to be shocked to hear this. I don't stop running my mouth. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, you're going to be shocked to hear that. So, if as long as you're willing to hear all the time, I got a seat for you right here, my friend.
Have you scheduled like a meeting with Lane yet at like midfield pregame? Like, is that
not yet, but I still hear from him. Like last time when Tim Brando was on the show and he compared him to Keith Olbermann for some reason, which was funny. And Lane screenshots it and then just responds, "Fair, right? Fair." He's a different kind of cat, man. I'll say. And like this weekend was another good example of how this dude's a different bird. I mean, I'm sure everyone else saw him commenting about the fight in the stands at Ole Miss baseball, saying how LSU fans never lose a fight to Ole Miss fans. So which I want to say, and then he deleted it because no one's better at deleting tweets than Lane Kiffin. My question is what do you make of kind of the hostility and how things have played out? Because the messiness of the exit was one thing, but the continued trolling, if you will, what have you thought about how that whole dynamic has played out and what it will build to potentially for September 19th?
So, it's interesting. So I knew Lane going back to Oxford was obviously going to be a spectacle. And you know how Ole Miss fans feel about it. I've talked to you about it and plenty of people around Oxford about it enough to know it. I didn't know LSU fans were going to side so, definitively with Lane. Like that's a some spice, if you will, that I just didn't have factored in. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be insane. Prayers and best wishes to LSU fans who decide to go to that game because
No, they'll get invited into Grove tents and they can eat some.
Well, you know that better than I would. I'd be surprised, but maybe I'd be
now.
wrong.
The minute they say, "Well, he's a housewife," it might be a different issue. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm done with my Lane questions. But it was funny this weekend. He couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself, Brad, at all.
Hey, Pete, I want to ask you. You look at the roster and the retention, the portal, staffers, and upwards of 70 plus at LSU. How much pressure is Lane under when he hasn't coasted down at LSU, but yet the word out there is that it's roughly close to $50 million from a transfer portal roster payment situation, what have you. What are your thoughts on Lane and that type of roster, and what does LSU need to do to get another year without a lot of consternation towards Lane?
Yeah, so they definitely spent over $40 million. I can confidently say that from my sourcing. In terms of pressure and expectations in year one, listen, when you put together the kind of portal class that he did, I think it's going to come with pretty sky-high expectations. Obviously, it's also year one, and I think that year one's probably going to come with a couple bumps along the way. I think it's like that for every not first-time head coach, but a head coach in his first year at a new school. The biggest thing I'm kind of watching right now is Sam Levitt. He's going to be out for the rest of spring. I know it was all scheduled to get the pins out of his foot for his full recovery. I would love to know more about how Lane feels, though, about having a quarterback coming in first year in your system and you don't truly get a full spring with him. He's also Sam Levitt, though. Like Sam Levitt's a hell of a player.
Yeah, that lost to Mississippi State last year. Sorry, see, that was salt. That was salt, Petey. That was salt. Sorry.
But my point is, like, he's a hell of a player, and like he'll be in the Heisman Trophy race if he's fully healthy. But how does LSU feel knowing that they're not going to get a full spring with him? I think it means that he's going to put in a ton of work in July with his receivers, and it'll probably all work out well. But that's my biggest question: is just when you don't have your quarterback for the full spring with your entire team around you, like, does that? I don't know if it instills confidence, but he's also gone through plenty of drills before he's going to miss the rest of spring ball.
I know, Brad. You got one more. I want to ask real quickly before you do, and then you can let Pete get out of here. All right. So right now, knowing what you know about Ole Miss, I don't know if you got Trinidad, in your Heisman candidate conversation, Keywan Lacey, whatever it might be. If you do all them voting things, us little people, we didn't get to do all them voting, Pete. So, like, if you did all your votes, where would you have Ole Miss right now? And what do you believe their ceiling is, knowing you're going to a 9-game SEC schedule, knowing that it's going to be a difficult schedule that Ole Miss is playing? Where do you kind of have Ole Miss, and what do you think about their overall potential in terms of where they could end up?
I just pulled up the schedule so I can answer that. I like to do my deep dive in like May and June once we get through the basketball portal, so I don't want to be misinformed here.
Hey, watch
Or
you want to see my fancy WordPress schedule? Look at this. Bam.
Whoa. Wow. We're rolling here. All right. So LSU at Florida, at Vanderbilt, home against Missouri, at Texas. That stretch is not for the faint of heart.
It is not.
At the same time, you bring back what you had last year with Trinidad and Kiwan. You added the right pieces in the portal. Fred says 10-2. I say that you got to be. I don't know. I think the CFP this year is going to be really interesting. I don't want to say it's CFP or bust, but I think that's what Ole Miss fans have it at.
And my question is, like, will 9-3 get you in the SEC? Isn't that the point of having a 9-game?
I think it depends who your losses are, right? Like if you lose to like Texas and LSU, and is Missouri on there? Like if you if the third loss is Missouri, but Missouri's also 9-3 or something, like then I think you can get in. But if we're talking about like a
Kentucky.
Well, no, I think Kentucky's going to be pretty good this year. That's another.
I was more or less talking about the 2024 Kentucky. That if you can't tell, people back in Oxford, Mississippi, Pete, have not gotten over that one.
Yeah, I get that. But yes, a loss similar to the 2024 Kentucky loss, coupled with a couple other losses, would not, do well. Am I going to storm the field September 19th? No.
That's not your style. Even if it was like your team, whoever that team might be, Pete ain't rushing nothing, man. I know.
No.
He's got the On3 team. He's wearing the On3. I've got the Riverland. He's got the On3. We're repping our teams, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we've kept Pete far too long. Thank you, Pete. One more quick question: how would you grade Pete Golding so far as a head coach for Ole Miss? Just what are your thoughts about Pete as head coach?
If we're going strictly off the playoff, probably like an A to A minus, because I mean, you guys can go talk about this because I'm not going to answer these questions. But did we think Ole Miss was going to go that deep in the playoff? I didn't know how it was going to look after Lane left, and I think Pete probably exceeded expectations there. So just off of that, I'm giving A minus, but, I think he's really going to go under the microscope this year, and I think you can have me back on next April, and we can talk about it like that.
Don't tease me with a good time, Pete Nakos. He's the man. He does all the transfer stuff. He's like the busiest man in the business. On3, Pete Nakos, you're the man. Thank you, my friend. You're the best. We'll have you on again.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Brad. See you guys.
That's Pete Nakos. He's awesome. No one knows the business better than that man. And if you know this business better than one Sudu Upadhyay, who's been waiting patiently to join us, we co-host Game Runs Deep together. He's decided that we're going to try to figure out, since the off season, a new way to do the Game Runs Deep. It's fine. He's like, well, then I'll just come on and talk Ole Miss stuff with your Ole Miss people, since he doesn't want to come on the Ole Miss Spirit. Hey, Sudu, how you doing?
What's up, man? How you doing? Brad, it's always a pleasure, man. It just makes me so happy to see you, Brad. It's
we're always texting and we're always sharing ideas and we're always talking sports, but it's rarely on the same show. So it's nice to do.
I know.
I guess my invitation to these chats got lost in the mail.
Well, Ben, your introduction to bringing me in just should tell you the story on why you're not getting invited, man. I mean, come on, that's not fair. I do post on the Spirit, man. What are you saying?
All I know is that you're still ranked as a quote freshman at On3. All right. That means that
it does say that. It does say, which is crazy because I guess the accounts must have reset when it went from Scout to what was it, 247, and then
yep.
So, what's funny is when people ask me about my resume, I mentioned Scout.com and I don't even know what to say. I think people think I'm lying and it's not real. Like the real, the non-ball knowers are like, what is Scout.com? It's the same like saying V Sporto. Like we put in work for V Sporto, but it doesn't exist now.
I wish Ron Hayden was here to hear that word.
I know. Yeah, he'd be having PTSD.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. Like you'd be better served to say the Ole Miss Spirit and actually show up for your people. That's all. I'm
on there. I'm on
Sudu,
there.
Can I ask you about baseball?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I was going to answer Jeffrey Monroe Sessions, who's been even more patient than one Sudu Upadhyay. Said, Ben,
let's get Jeffrey Monroe Sessions.
Let's go there.
No.
Do you feel that we are as strong at edge as we were last year? Remember one thing about edge last year. Prince Will arrived from Nebraska with very little by way of production on his resume. He was not the sack leader for Ole Miss, and actually took until mid-October to kind of get going. Only, I think, 2 sacks up until that point. Finishes Ole Miss's sack leader. Do I think they're in a better starting place or have more depth of options? Yes, because Deshaun Womack underperformed at LSU, came to Ole Miss, was the same player. Maybe he'll figure it out with his old guy at St. Francis Academy, Ole Miss Rebel, Wayne Dorsey at Auburn. But in terms of the starting place, do I think they're stronger? Yes, I do. And it's not just because of Blake Purchase and Jonathan Maldonado. William Eccles is a junior All-American, and he could have a Walter Nolan type of impact on edge rushing or quarterback pressures specifically. Who finished second last year for Ole Miss in sacks? Does anybody remember? It was a tie. It was Cam Franklin and William Eccles, and both of those guys are back, and you added on top of them guys that have more upside potentially than the ones you brought in last year. Now, losing Prince Willie Monmielen hurts, man. It really does. He like you developed him into that sack leader. Having said that, with Pete, like he was nothing before Pete Golding. We'll see what he is after Pete Golding if he's still the same player. Meanwhile, Pete's still here, and these are handpicked guys from him. So I think it's a better starting place than it was otherwise last year.
Beautiful, man. He's incredible. He's incredible. When he gets going and he doesn't stop himself, man, he's incredible, that Ben Garrett.
I'm just glad Sudu is awake this early. Me too, Pat. Fred G. Sudu still hasn't posted on the Spirit. I know. I'm waiting on it. Just
listen, if you go to last week, there's multiple posts / replies.
At Dirty Eater says it looks like Sudu just put one out. Good morning, Sudu. I don't think he meant to say Pittsburgh. I think
I was like,
yeah.
Oh yes. You know
Sudu,
the funniest thing to come out of
grits when you're high or not. Good grief.
I'd have shrimp and grits.
All the time.
Not high. Not high. Yeah. I like shrimp and grits. The answer is I like shrimp and grits.
That's all I needed to know. You like shrimp and grits, Sudu? Okay.
I love shrimp and grits, man. What's up, guys? I see Pete Nakos just left. What's the verdict? What's he talking about? Big Golding guy, huh?
Team a lot, and he likes the transfer portal, the transfer additions for Ole Miss a lot.
Yeah, he does. And he has them ranked. You know, it's college football playoff or bust again. You know, even with Pete, he wants to see how all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of with him about Florida. Florida's sneaky fun, bro.
I've been trying to tell you, bro. Been trying to tell you. Did you see that Eric Singleton touchdown catch?
We just showed it.
We played it.
Cue
it up, man.
And I know that was Tramel Jones, but to me, Aaron Philo's still the guy who also had a touchdown. But both guys seem to know that team and that excitement, man, that Summerall's bringing over there. Really seems to be
that is definitely a game, Sudu, and I'd like your thoughts. There are a lot of games where I think Auburn is one of those games. I think Vanderbilt's one of those games. I think Florida is one of those games.
Cool.
I think Auburn is one of those games. So there are a lot of those games on the schedule this year that Ole Miss they better be ready. Missouri, also another one.
Yeah, 100%. No, I mean that schedule. Look, we've looked through it a few times, and Ben and I have at least on Game Runs Deep, and it's. I think we have like encouragement because you're bringing back 2 Heisman contenders on offense and you really bolster the team in the portal, but it's a scary schedule. I mean, no doubt about it. You go into 9 conference games, but it's not like, you're getting some tough teams in that too. I guess you say that every year that it's the SEC, but
yeah.
I mean, it's like the fact that you're going on the road to some of these tough environments that makes you wonder. It's like, but
yeah, that
I have faith.
It'll be tough. Oklahoma. I mean, this schedule is something, and I didn't ask Pete. We didn't have enough time, but I'll ask you, Sudu. Could Ole Miss be better this year than last year, but have a worse record?
100%. I think that could be the case for most SEC teams. You're adding, another game that's more of a 50-50, and in some cases probably a higher percentage of losing, right, for some teams. So I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to me is how the playoff adjusts now because – well, I mean, if you're a 9-3 SEC team, but you went through the gauntlet, does that mean you don't deserve to get in the playoffs because you have 3 losses? We're very quickly heading to that 16-team expansion and no conference tournament or conference championship game, obviously, but it will still be around next year. So do you punish teams that, have 3 losses on their schedule? That's going to be the most interesting thing. And I was talking to a buddy this weekend. We're watching Masters and Ole Miss and all that, and we're kind of having a conversation like, man, this Ole Miss roster feels real strong, and it feels like they're going to be right back in the college football playoff hunt. And it's like, bro, is this the year that they're going to it's basically going to go against Ole Miss because the conference decides to go to 9 games when Ole Miss has this insane roster and all this talent or whatever, and is coming off of a playoff appearance? It's that old kind of antiquated mindset, which I've been trying to get rid of. Of course this would happen, Ole Miss thing, but it does make, with all the anxiety we've gone throughout the years, it does make you go, gosh, dude. Of course, the year that you have this incredible team, you could probably win 10 games in a normal non-9 game SEC slate, but now you got those 9 games, and there's just more room to mess up.
I just love that Sudu has already pre-cooked a "We Are Ole Miss" moment. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at SpiritBit on Twitter. He's Brad Logan. I'm Sudu. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Sudu Upadhyay. If you haven't already, that QR code above Sudu's head is for the Ole Miss Spirit. OleMissSpirit.com. Fleet of On3. Scan it today. New members can sign up for half off an annual subscription. Please rate, review, 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. 5 stars. Talk of Champions in iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts. You can say whatever you want, including men. Sudu's so mean to Ben Garrett. And
this guy just said iTunes, bro. Unc just said iTunes. That's crazy.
It's been a minute, bro.
That's crazy, Unc. That's crazy.
I've been saying the same thing since like 2010 in that way. You know what I mean? Like it always started with iTunes. I just don't even exist anymore.
Make sure y'all download us on Napster,
LimeWire illegally.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want more Ben Garrett, go to MySpace, bro. I've got a great page. Yeah. Let's just some of our sponsors. Shut up. This is Talk of Champions.
Homes and businesses from the whims of nature. You need more than just quality materials. You require Riverland Roofing. Licensed, insured, and certified, Riverland Roofing offers not only the assurance of excellence, but a tailored approach to your unique structural needs and budget. To learn more about what Riverland Roofing can do for you and the community, call them at 662-644-4297 or visit riverlandroofing.com.
Hey, Rebels! Your truck is here! Alan Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford presents the all-new Ram Rebel. It's Ram, the Rebel way. Send an unmistakable signal. Rebel 24/7. Ram Rebel from your friend in the car business. Alan Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford.
Come by, let's be friends. I'm Warrior Philip Hearn. Raising my family here in Mississippi, I've tried to teach my kids to help others. I learned that from my parents. And as a Mississippi lawyer, I want to help you too. If you're hurt in a traffic accident, 18-wheeler wreck, or have insurance trouble, call 601-720-3541. That's my cell. You call, I'll answer. Let's get started. Make your first call to the Hearn Law Firm today.
Our thanks to the Hearn Law Firm. Our thanks to Riverland Roofing, College Corner, B&A Bank, Alan Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Oxford, C-Spire for advanced technology solutions for homes and businesses. It's C-Spire. C-Spire is customer inspired. C-Spire.com. Visit them today. And also Game Day Haircuts, and not the least of which who you just heard from, the Hearn Law Firm, 662-766-7777 or HearnLawFirm.net. Philip Herman and his team have locations throughout the Southeast, so call them today, 662-766-7777. It's funny to see how the tide is turning in the chat, Sudu.
What do you mean?
The no Ben is high is now the claim because Ben.
No. He's saying no Ben. He is high. I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
no,
right.
the tide hasn't turned. The tide will always be the same.
It'll always be. It sounds good. It's the way it needs to be, right? We need everyone to always think the city's one way and we are the other, and that's the way it goes. All right, now that we've kind of gone through some spring propaganda stuff for you, who are the teams that, from everything you've gathered, be it Florida or those underserved teams that you think can take a real step, the teams that you're worried about taking a step back or think that they might take it, and then where does Ole Miss fall into all of your kind of breakdown on April 13th of where the SEC stands?
Yeah, so Florida. I mean, I've been riding with Florida since that hire was made with
Buster Faulkner,
Buster and Summerall, big Summerall guy as well. Obviously, let's not take anything away from John. John's the head coach after all. Yeah, so I think they take a big step. Auburn, obviously, I felt like I was like, is Golis really an SEC coach at a certain point? But I think, I was a huge fan of his work at USF, what he was able to do with Heupel in Tennessee. Auburn's another team. I'm slowly starting to come around on Arkansas taking a step in the right direction. Now, that doesn't mean much as far as record is concerned. But, Silverfield was successful at Memphis, and I get that the previous two coaches there, Fuente and Norvell, were as well, but Silverfield stayed a lot longer and sustained success that, was good for Memphis. So I look at them as maybe taking a step in the right direction. Kentucky as well is another one of those teams. Taking a step back.
You better not say this group right here, bro. You better not say it. I don't want to hear it. Look at that.
Oh, that's not how I feel about Ole Miss. And I'm one of those like truthful Ole Miss people too. Like I don't overhype or pump sunshine for no reason. I'm probably more of a pessimist in general.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to when you reference those people?
Nobody. I'm just saying that there's some people out there that like to pump sunshine all the time, and that's not me. That's never been me. I'm more of a realist.
Never been me either, Brad either. So I just want to make sure everybody knows.
No, hey, no shots being taken at any of the fine gentlemen in this chat. I'm just saying.
Horatio Fields making plays, man. Number 11. That's who y'all keep seeing over and over again. He's had a good spring.
Taking a step back.
Where you at on Alabama, Sudu? Where you at on Georgia?
Keelan Russell looked
He's
good in that spring game.
Yeah.
So, Bama's going to be Bama, I think, at the end of the day. They're going to be right there. To me, but it's not going to be acceptable for Bama fans, but like 9 wins, 9 to 10 wins, Georgia's Georgia at the end of the day, and you get Gunner back. So I think Georgia's going to be fine. I'm interested to see how they play on defense this year. Also, their offensive line, how they're protecting Gunner Stockton. But they have the weapons. They have the talent, obviously. Oklahoma maybe takes a step back. Is that crazy to say?
No.
I look at the schedule and I go, this just all the teams in the conference, and I go, maybe Oklahoma. South Carolina has nowhere but to go but up. I mean, after last season.
What about Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt's an interesting one. They probably take a step backwards, right? I mean, do we really think Jared Curtis is going to come in and just like light the world on fire as a freshman?
No.
Let me see their schedule. Austin Peay, Delaware, NC State. So you get some opportunities to learn there at the beginning of the season. Then you go to Auburn and Georgia back to back. You play Ole Miss. The Arkansas one will be interesting. You have to go to Kentucky. Like, it's not an easy schedule. You have to go to Starkville. Vandy definitely takes a step back. That's feels like, I guess, like a no-brainer because you lose like a generational quarterback for the school in Diego Pavia. But Vandy takes a step back. I don't want to go against Elko, but could A&M take a step back?
Here's the thing.
Looking into.
Like Marcel Reed in that performance in the playoffs, if not for that, I think it'd be a lot different conversation in regards to Texas A&M.
Yeah,
but there was always the fraud allegations for Texas A&M, and then when they finally got their opportunity to get rid of those, they did nothing in that way, right? So
I will say,
a little bit of a prove it with them.
Yeah, I will say, like, it's Missouri State, Arizona State, Kentucky to start. Then they go to Death Valley. Then it's Arkansas and Missouri. So they're going to, I think it'd come out to a pretty hot start. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Let's say 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. Then they play the Citadel, 6-1. Then you go to Alabama at South Carolina.
That's the turn game. The Alabama game. That's the turn game for them.
100%. And so they're going to have a pretty decent record. And then you close the season with Oklahoma and Texas. So that's an interesting one. I want to kind of keep a closer eye on. But yeah, taking a step back, Vandy definitely. I'd say Oklahoma, and then taking steps forward are Florida, Auburn, LSU. Sorry, forgot, man. After the brooms came out, they're not even in the room right now for me. So
it's just different down there. Shout out to Richard Cross, man. It's just different down there.
The Sudu, real quick on the team we haven't mentioned at all, Mississippi State. What's the leash like with Jeff Lebby? Is there a number in your opinion that he has to get to keep his job?
I think Ben and I looked at that schedule and we were like 7 wins. I think 6 or 7 wins. Is Mississippi State really in a position to fire Jeff Lebby? Like
who are you going to hire?
Who are you going to hire? Like, who's going to actually go there and feel confident that they can turn the ship around?
It's an SEC job, I mean,
no doubt.
I think the list would be lengthy as the coaches that would want to go there. I just wonder if Jeff turns it around, what is the number that gets him an extended period of time? I have no doubt that there is some talent, but I don't know with that schedule, how many wins it's going to take.
You got to at least get bowl eligible. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
ULM first, then Minnesota. You can't have a loss to Minnesota at Minnesota.
That feels like a big one, kind of like Arizona State last year.
Yeah.
At South Carolina, then Missouri, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Tennessee Tech, Ole Miss. I'm counting so far 1. I'll give them Vanderbilt 2.
Yeah, you give them Vanderbilt, and then you kind of hope that like Missouri, South Carolina, like out of those games, they're going to have to pull some out as well.
Yeah, you have to beat South Carolina if you want to get bowl eligible. You have to.
I agree.
With this schedule. You have
I mean,
look,
Missouri is going into Starkville as well in early September. They might still be figuring stuff out with Austin Simmons over there. So that could be one of those early season opportunities for them.
I do like Mario Taylor. I think he's a really good quarterback.
Awesome.
I don't know what they're going to have surrounding him, an offensive line as well. So,
and the other thing, going back to like, yes, it is an SEC job, but the NIL situation in Mississippi State. I mean, they did spend some money this offseason. I'll give them that. But I don't know. Are they going to be able to keep it? Y'all might know this more than me, but can they keep up with the big spenders of the SEC? They certainly can't seem to keep up with Ole Miss as far as raising money and spending it in the portal. But do we think that, like, if they fire Jeff Lebby, that they could be an attractive job for a coach that knows he's going to need the money to keep up with the other teams in the SEC? Like, I don't have that much confidence in Mississippi State. Maybe I'm naive on that, though.
My whole thing is, who are you going to replace him with? All right.
No, exactly. And that's my thing. Like, what's attracting that replacement, though? Like, and it's all about the money now. It's all about your NIL budget. That's really what the coaches want to see. Nobody cares about the facilities and all that stuff like they used to. It's, hey, how much NIL money do I have? And do they have it? Like, can they get that money?
I don't know what their NIL budget is. I do know that there is money available. I don't know that they're wanting to allocate for football because their baseball roster is, one of the tops in the country. So I do think there are finances there available. The question is how do they want to allocate that? And back to your original question, Sudu, how good is Jeff Lebby? Would they want to move on from him? Maybe that's not even in the question, but I can't imagine if they go 4-8 that would be something that the fan base would be pleased with. So
No, but their fan base when it comes to football just seems so. I say it over and over. I just feel bad at this point. They just seem so dejected and just down bad. Like they're just like, whatever. We have baseball now, and that's kind of where their heads at.
Yeah, I want to real quickly. You talked about LSU and baseball, Sudu. I'd love your thoughts on this. When Ole Miss loses, gets swept by Mississippi State, then all of a sudden go 20 innings without scoring, but yet score 5 runs in the ninth, beat Florida, win the series. Then they sweep LSU in dramatic fashion yesterday, going up 7-0, tying at 7-7. In true Bianco fashion, here they go, the Rebels, the roller coaster of a baseball team, and now sitting at 8-7, smack dab in the middle of the conference. It was a wild series over LSU.
No doubt about it, man, and it was so much fun. I mean, first of all, let me just give a broad picture here. Hell of a sports weekend, man. My Saturday consisted of me sitting on a porch, watching the Masters, watching Ole Miss run rule LSU, watching the Braves lose, unfortunately. Then watching some UFC. Like, it was the ultimate dudes rock weekend for me, man, just like with the guys. And just to have this Ole Miss team sweep LSU was the perfect just cherry on top of an incredible sports weekend. Yeah, I don't know, Brad. I don't know what to say about Ole Miss baseball anymore. I really don't. I have also been in the camp of, hey, it's time for Bianco to retire, build the man a statue, give him a spot on the administration somewhere and move on. And then they do stuff like this and make it exciting again and give you hope. I don't know how to feel moving forward, but, I'm happy after this weekend. Shout out Owen Pano. I'm sure he's happy after seeing all the comments.
Owen Pano, true believer, stand up, bro. Vindication.
Shout out Owen Pano. I mean, The bullpen's been awesome. They hit really well. Can you sustain it is the question. It's been a gauntlet of an SEC schedule, and it's going to continue to be that way. But look, the SEC, it's been a weird year in the SEC as a whole. I mean, Florida looked like they were down and out, and then they kind of salvaged this weekend. They get back into the rankings. LSU's had the weirdest year. Some early season losses to teams like Nakos State, and then they lose to, I think it was Bethune-Cookman earlier in the week. Then they get swept by Ole Miss. Would not be surprised if LSU somehow finds its way back into the rankings at some point. Weird SEC year. That's not really an answer to your question, Brad. I don't have a clear thought on Ole Miss baseball. It's the ride. It's the ride. We're just on it, and until it's time to get off of it. That's really that's my opinion on it. Man.
What's been really weird this year, and that was a great word. I've never in my life, and I have not done a deep dive into this. I have never seen this many sweeps in SEC baseball in the history of following the SEC. Never.
Yeah.
Like states, they're spiraling a little bit, aren't they?
Oh, State. Yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, absolutely, man.
I mean,
but once again,
6 opportunities in a row.
Yeah. Right. But once again, it's also a testament to the SEC. Once again, though, like would not be surprised in a couple of weeks we're talking about State having turned it around. It's kind of been the story. You know, like it's been the story for a lot of teams this year. I know Arkansas got a much needed win. A&M looked good. But there's no telling, man. As we kind of get to that stretch run here, there's no telling how this is all going to end. I mean, Georgia looked like probably one of the greatest teams, and then they lost the series to Florida. You know, and so it's been
Arkansas swept Alabama, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Arkansas got that series win too. Like weird SEC year. The Bianco Ole Miss ride the last few seasons has been what it has been. So it's just a wait and see thing for me. Hey, I'm just here to watch us win more games, and we'll see what happens at the end of it all. I mean, shit, don't call out, don't tweet at Keith Carter about Mike Bianco. I know that. I'm not making that mistake like that one guy. Good God. You said that guy. We haven't even got a chance to talk about that, man.
Me and Brad have. Don't worry. See, we talk about this stuff all day, every day at the Ole Miss Spirit.
I meant me, Ben.
Okay, but you have an opportunity because you have a free account to the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate of On3. That QR code above Sudu's head. All you got to do as a new member, scan it and join us for half off of an annual subscription. But Sudu just doesn't even have the decency to show up and post 3 times a day.
3 times a day? Who is on there 3 times a day, man? Come on.
3 times?
It's your job to be on.
We've got over 5,000 subs that are on there 3 times a day. You jack off.
Okay,
come and join us.
Listen, if I had a cool job where I could just sit at the desk, you know, and just like kill some time and post, that's what I would do, man. That's what I would do.
That's all it is. He says that's all it is. I see.
I'm always moving, dude. I'm always there's too much motion.
Oh yeah, once 10 o'clock rolls around, then he's moving. Otherwise, the moves are pretty restricted.
That's because I'm up later. I'm up later making moves, you know.
What are those moves? Like nothing good happens after midnight. What kind of moves
life.
You making, bro?
Dude, you know me, Benny. I work late. You know, I'm a night owl.
Yeah. Well, Fred G says he's there all day, so you just talk crap to Fred G.
Fred G, you don't even need me there. It's people like you that make the Spirit what it is. You know what I mean? You don't need me there.
First of all, well said. Second of all, how dare you? We love you. We want to see and hear more Sudu. You know,
Benhausen, it's happening this weekend. When is the podcast of predictions and upsets?
WrestleMania this weekend. That's what he's asking.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
dude, big Danhausen fans here. We got some Fanhausens in the building.
Yeah, dude, like one of the few things people care about right now in wrestling in WWE.
I can't wait to see the evil Danhausen, man. I'm not an AEW guy. I never got to see that, but I've heard it's pretty impressive. So we've only seen the funny one. Haven't seen the evil one just quite yet. I
just hope that Randy Orton actually gets to be reinserted into his own feud at some point. That'd be great. That would 20 years of history between him and Cody, and yet all I see is Pat McAfee cutting promos on Cody Rhodes, so it doesn't make any more sense. Anything you got left for Sudu Upadhyay, Brad Logan? Because we're going to touch on some comments on the chat, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, Sudu, you know, we kind of went over baseball, and we had Pete on and talked a lot about Ole Miss football and the transfer portal. I'll ask you what I asked Pete a moment ago. How do you rate Pete Golding as a head coach so far? Because the question I have for Pete is I have for you is, you know, with Lane gone, looking at this 10,000 feet, no Ole Miss, just a college football fan, with your offensive leadership gone in Lane Kiffin and in Charlie Weiss Jr., and now you bring in a new offensive coordinator, the head coach is now a defensive dude. How do you look for this year? Is talent going to overshadow any changes from a coaching standpoint? And is that something Ole Miss fans should worry about, that your offensive leadership is gone from a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of a concern than I think Ole Miss fans made it out to be. Like, especially during that playoff run when it was all about, okay, let's forget about Lane and his people and let's turn it into us and what we can do. And then you play the way you did. I think you kind of undersold the significance of losing so much of your offensive staff and personnel. To me, Brad, the key is Joe Judge. And as a Giants fan, I never thought I'd be saying that. But here I am saying the key is Joe Judge. I think keeping him on staff, that continuity, his relationship with Trinidad and some of the other guys on that offense is going to be a big plus. Also, getting John David Baker. I mean, TBD, like it's to be seen what that actually means. But right now in the offseason, it makes you feel good that you're bringing in a guy that's familiar with that offense and runs something similar. And it's not going to change too much for Trinidad and the guys. An overall grade for Pete is going to be an A for me. The bar is super high based on those playoff wins and what he was able to do in corralling that team and getting them so close to the national title game after the messy exit. Which also means there's a lot of pressure, because if you're starting with the bar that high, if this was Ole Miss completes the playoffs, then Lane leaves, then Pete gets promoted, less pressure, right? Because people go, well, it's his first time being a head coach, whatever. But with the performance in the playoff, the bar is really high for Pete. I also think the additions on defense gives me hope. Like, I think him being able to mold that defensive side of the ball the way he wants to, with no restrictions, without Lane, trying to get a seventh running back or whatever, I think benefits Ole Miss as a whole. I think the roster feels more complete for that reason. So I think the expectations are high, and the grade coming into the season is an A for Pete. That's just simply put.
I have one more question for Sudu. Buy or sell, and I asked this to Ben as well. Buy or sell Trinidad Chambliss and or Kejuan Lacey, or A, at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, or B, in the top 3 and possibly have a chance to win?
I'm buying one. I don't think
I'm
you're gonna
buying
get two.
Yeah, I'm buying at least one of those guys being in New York.
Me too. Trinidad.
Yeah, it's probably
running backs get shortchanged in that way, unless he has like a Bajan Robinson or Ashton Genty type performance to get himself invited. Running backs they start out at a disadvantage.
And it's to that point. This is something I'm not going to say the guy's name, but somebody I worked with at CBS, very knowledgeable college football guy. Once, we were talking about running backs last year when Kejuan was putting up the numbers he was, and he brought up Jeremiah Love, and I went, how about some love for my guy Kejuan? And he went, man, nobody wants to see Kejuan. That guy's averaging like, what did he say? He was like, he's these little short dinky runs. I mean, he's like, Jeremiah Love's got these breakouts. He's got these 50+
what
yard runs.
What was that 73-yarder in the Fiesta Bowl then, kid?
This was pre-Fiesta Bowl, but still, like, regardless, I'm with you on that, and I go, he's got the most broken tackles and forced missed tackles in college football for a running back. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. I was like, the engine of that Ole Miss offense he is the engine behind it. Without him, it's very one-dimensional. But that's how, and this guy's a Heisman voter, and that's how they're looking at it. It's all about flashiness and big numbers. And with Kejuan, I wonder, like, Kejuan's
what is the single season record holder at Ole Miss considered then, if not big numbers? Was Quinshawn a Heisman candidate?
Hey, that's another thing you mentioned. Ole Miss versus Notre Dame, right? How these national awards are voted on, Ben. It's all about brand and recognition and who got to see what game, because they're not all watching games. It's a very flawed process, all these awards votings and all that kind of stuff, and the people that have the votes. But I do admire the guy that I'm talking about here. I like working with him, but 100% politics. But it made me feel, I don't know, it just felt dirty. I was like, bro, really? Like, you're supposed to be watching all these games and making fair analysis, and your thing literally was, nobody wants to see these dinky 2-yard, 3-yard runs from Kejuan, dude. Like, Jeremiah Love
shows me you're a non-ball knower if that's what you think Kejuan Lacey is.
50+ yard runs for Jeremiah Love. And so that's what I wonder about Kejuan this year, is you added some depth to that running back room because you wanted Kejuan. One, he's about to go to the league, and you don't want to wear him down altogether, but also you want him to be healthy for a postseason run and be able to even be in that Heisman conversation. So I wonder, I'm like, will some of the production get taken away from him? Or is national media going to look at him like, well, yeah, he doesn't have some of the more impressive runs as some of these other guys. Maybe he doesn't have the Heisman moment type runs. And so it is easier to sit here and go, if Ole Miss takes care of business and Trinidad has a season like last year where he gets to start the whole way through, he should be the favorite out of those two to be in New York. But I hope it's both, and I think both of them can be. Like, I'm not counting Kewan out at all. I think he could 100% be up there. How cool would that be, man? Like a Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart moment for Ole Miss to be able to have both those guys there. So, yeah, I really hope that works out.
He's Sudu Upadhyay at Sudu_TV or just Sudu TV on the Twitters. One of the two.
I think Twitter is underscore and Instagram is just the normal.
We need to get that fixed. He's Brad Logan at Brad Logan COTE. Thank you, Sudu, for dropping in. I don't know when I'll see you again because he's decided to reconfigure
on Mondays. We said Mondays on Talking Champion. So Ben and I, what Ben is alluding to, Brad, let's fill you in on this too because you weren't included in that group chat. See, Ben, sometimes it's just you and me, and Brad's not in it. You don't have to be jealous. But
jealousy is all I've ever known, friend. Fear of missing out is like FOMO is all I've ever known, man.
No, the other day we were having to talk about, it's the offseason, game runs deep. We created at the beginning of the football season. So we've only known it one way, which is a kind of a Monday show where we react to the games and we preview games and all that. And so this offseason, I just was like, yeah, the numbers aren't what they were, and we want to kind of maybe rehaul it and make it something a little more exciting for you guys that love it. And it's already a crossover with Talking Champions. So I was like, dude, let's just talk Ole Miss every week on Talking Champs, and then we're going to reconfigure game runs deep, and we'll be back. Like, it's not like it's going anywhere. So
he's replacing me with another. He just replacing me with another pothead. That's what he's doing.
I don't know what that. I don't even
so
know.
I can have a macro dose. Yeah,
I heard you say.
Y'all can have like a macro dosing rebranding. Is that what we're going for?
Yeah, we got a big sponsor, man. Cannabis Central actually is.
That's a good one.
No, but no, I'm just going to be the vibes guy.
There's Cloudy New Albany. It's Cloudy Albany here in New Albany. If you want to like get sponsored by them, Cloudy New Albany, for the vapes and the weed bowls, whatever you want to do, man. I'm just saying, whatever you get figured out, how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'll just be here, little old Ben Garrett, hanging out with my guy Brad, talking Ole Miss stuff. We'll be here. Thank you. See you later.
Anyways, all right. Well, is this it for me? Is
you're done.
Line? Okay.
We're talking Ole Miss baseball, getting us like I want to play Brad, put together a great video and everything. I'll see you next Monday. Hopefully I'll talk to you before then. I hope you're doing great.
Phenomenal.
Go take a shower. The Masters disappointed me. Did they disappoint you?
What? Dude, the Sunday was the most exciting Sunday we've had. And I was there last year. I was on 18.
Tiger won in 2019.
We're going to do this. I've had to do nothing but see people online post their shirts.
I didn't get to go. Brad, I didn't get to go this year. So I feel you.
Such a long line. This pimento cheese sandwich just tastes awful. I'm like, what are we doing? People like me, they try to do things the right way. They try to put in for tickets. And I never get to go. 24 years I have tried to go to the Masters. Nothing.
Look,
I've got to listen to this influencer. I don't know if they've been given tickets or not. They're talking about how great the sandwich or how terrible the sandwich is.
Yeah.
Wearing their egg salad hat. I'm just not happy with the Masters.
It has gotten out of hand in that regard. And I'll say this.
Speaking facts, Brad, let's go.
I went last year and practice rounds, like you saw a little bit more of that, whatever. But it still felt like what the Masters was supposed to. And for people that have been a lot more than me that went this year, they did tell me the vibes are a little different. We do need to keep the sanctity of the Masters. Like, that's the point of it. And it's been, said by a lot of people, not just me, but like golf has a party. It's called the Waste Management, in Phoenix. Like, that is supposed to be the big party tournament, whatever. We don't need to turn every single one into that, especially not the Masters. Like, some things are meant to be the way they are. And I will say, like, being there last year, dude, if I never go back again, I'm okay with it because I saw Rory win his first in incredible fashion with Justin Rose right there, with a chance to win last year. And I was on 18, and it was incredible. But this year's Sunday as a whole was way more exciting, Ben. So that's why I say I watched Rory win his first one in person, and I felt like this year's Sunday was just – you looked at that leaderboard, man, Rory, Scotty, Justin Rose, Cam Young, like the names. Morikawa at one point was making a comeback. It was incredible, man. It was thrilling.
You knocked me down, though, with Jason Kelsey, with Kevin Hart, with the egg I mean, the pimento.
That didn't
What we
bother
doing?
me.
What we doing? What we doing?
Yeah,
Let
I
Brad, who's
think
been trying to go for 24 years, enjoy the reverence, and he would do like a full Brad report, like we're about to show his report from the sweep of LSU
I
over the
know.
weekend. I'm just saying, I'm with Brad.
I
Like we're
know.
pricing out the common fan. Have you
Nope.
seen tickets for WrestleMania?
But here's the thing: you can't even get in the Masters.
You can't
anymore.
even get in normally.
Real quick
Yeah.
before you get out of here, I have to ask this real quick.
Yeah.
So, I did a kind of a deep dive because I'm a nerd with tickets in the Masters. Apparently, the new general manager was like, they've got a way to where they can spot tickets that were put on StubHub, and they're stopping people at the gate, taking them to a building that's all white building with blacked out windows, and like questioning people, how did you get these tickets?
Amazing.
I mean, and so they're like,
that is.
I had not
I
heard
know
that.
that's pretty. I think that's true. I'm pretty confident that's
To
true.
which I hope everybody in there says, I need my legal representation with me. I'm not answering any
Well, I mean, they don't have to do anything. Then they can say, well, you can't come in then.
Okay, cool. Well, you can't put me in a blacked out freaking room and interrogate me. This is America, man. I have
That's
rights.
why like StubHub tickets were $25,000 for Thursday, Friday. But if you buy those, you may not get in because that's
They don't
ticket.
play, man. They don't play. I mean, they've got their own. They run that city, but that Augusta National is it's a city in its own. I mean, that entire underground system is absolutely insane. Everything about it is incredible, though, Brad. I mean, I'm not trying to like rub it in your face. I really hope you get.
I know
to go.
you are, but it's not a big deal. We're friends. It's okay.
No, listen. I was supposed to go on Friday. I had a buddy who we spoke weeks ago. His family's been trying to get. They won the lottery years ago. Been trying to get me a pass, and there's always something going on. Like when I covered Georgia, there was a G-Day and all these conflicts. So I finally got to go as a credentialed member of the press last year. That's how I got in. And so he offered me the ticket last year. I said, dude, I'm already going. This year, 2 weeks ago, we have a conversation. You're coming with me on Friday. My mom's been bringing it up all spring, whatever. I text him last week. I'm in Connecticut. I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to get my schedule together, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me know. He was like, hey, my brother might go. I'll let you know. I just got ghosted, man. This kid I've known since college. We speak all that. Just straight up got ghosted. Didn't get to go. So a little disappointed, man. Was supposed to be there on Friday, and then nothing. So
well, I would if I were really a true troll of my baby brother Sudu, I would ghost you and just like remove you from the studio. Instead, I'll just simply say thank you for joining.
It's been real. I love doing this, man. I came on for 20 minutes. I feel like I'm the vibes guy now. This was a very special thing. You guys didn't even really ask a lot out of me today. It was just I got to come in, make an appearance, get some funny comments in the chat. This is beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, that's what you wanted because you don't want to be friends with me anymore. Boss Sudu. That's Sudu Upadhyay. I removed him from the studio to not be. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead.
That's all. I just said.
Oh, I just moved him out. Oh, see, there he is again. I'm gonna keep like messing with him in that way. See, hey, love you, buddy. He's Sudu Upadhyay. He's the absolute best. I love him more than life itself. All right, before we get out of here, Brad did a great job because I know there's some questions in the chat and some other things in regards to basketball. We'll get to those in a minute, but like Brad had a great video that he produced following Ole Miss's sweep of LSU over the weekend, following the Sunday win, if I could actually go back and find it. Before we get to that, I want to knock out those questions in the chat. Thank you to Sudu. Thank you to Pete Nakos. For all of our sponsors, including Riverland Roofing, 662-644-4297, riverlandroofing.com. Someone was asking about the highlight video, number 0, the cornerback. That's Jay Crawford, Auburn transfer. Started a little bit slow, but he's really been coming on lately. But that's the one that was getting burned in those videos. That was Jay Crawford, number 0. And as far as basketball targets, I wrote something on the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, affiliate of On3 that's already these things change so quickly. It's gotten old pretty quick because there's been some commitments out of it. But I've got a story on the Ole Miss Spirit with targets in regards to basketball, including Ole Miss bringing in Washington State big Indy Okafor for a visit on Thursday. He's the 6th confirmed visitor. The others are Jacob Walker from Sam Houston, a guard, another guard, T.O. Barrett from Missouri, Xavier Robinson from Butler, who is now going to UCLA on a visit. He visited Ole Miss. Finley Bizjack from Butler was scheduled to come in yesterday. He did not show up and instead committed to West Virginia today. I think that was as much to do with Ole Miss it not being a good fit on Ole Miss's end as him going to West Virginia as well, because you got Patton Pinkett's coming back, Elias Carmerdine, Zach Day. Haven't heard anything in regards to James Scott or Nico Bundalo officially, but hearing that the only 3 returners are going to be Pinkins, Carmerdine, and Zach Day. We'll see how that plays out. Travis Perry's gotten into the portal. And some other names you need to keep an eye on include, let's see. I don't want to tell you wrong. I had the whole full list in front of me for this specific purpose. Oh, Deshaun Ruff, remember him? Yeah, Ole Miss is at least kicking the tires on Deshaun to return to Ole Miss for his final year. He's got to get a waiver from the NCAA to do so. Ole Miss was hot after Desmond Claude last year in the portal. He would too need a waiver. We'll see if Ole Miss is interested again, but he got into the portal yesterday. JUCO forward Sean Feltz is planning to visit Ole Miss this week, and he would make the 7th confirmed visitor. Spent the last 2 seasons at Snow College in Utah. They've held a Zoom call with Terrence Hill Jr. from VCU. They've talked to Tylen Riley from Tulsa, Cameron Taylor from UNC Asheville, on and on and on. Forward possibilities include Johan Munch from Oklahoma State, Justin McBride from Jay Madison, and number one of the bigs outside of Indy Okafor that I'm watching out for, Kennard Davis from BYU. Ole Miss is deep off in that one as well. So wanted to touch on a couple of those comments in the chat because we've been talking all about football for about an hour and 15 minutes with Pete Nakos and Sudu Upadhyay, who we're so thankful for. I love those dudes, man. They're the absolute best, and we appreciate them joining us today. Now let's go to Brad's report yesterday from the sweep of Ole Miss's big baseball sweep of LSU. It matters, folks, even though they haven't moved in Division I baseball's top 25, and despite a better resume than even Arkansas, who's ranked 13th. Here's what Brad had to say after the game yesterday. If I can get him to play. Look at that face.
Hell of a one. Brad Logan here from Swayze Field. One final time for the weekend. It was a big, big day for Ole Miss. Well, up until about the 7th inning when LSU would run off 7 runs to tie the game at 7-7. Sunday baseball in the SEC is always just insane. The Rebels would plate one in the bottom half of the 7th inning and win the game 8-7. It was a situation where Taylor Ray pitched an incredible game. And the Ole Miss pitching staff, once again, did really well, obviously up until that crazy top half of the 7th. Sunday baseball is a little bit different, and I posted during the game that Sunday outs are worth their weight in gold because Sundays, oddly enough, are sometimes the most interesting games of a 3-game set in the Southeastern Conference. At the end of the day, Ole Miss gets its 4th sweep under head coach Mike Bianco over LSU. Once again, the first one since 2022. Another interesting stat, LSU's only swept Ole Miss once during the tenure of Mike Bianco. And so just a stat that I kind of ran across. This series is always a bit an interesting one in the Rebels get a sweep here in Oxford. Most importantly for Ole Miss, 8-7 in the conference now. All of a sudden, you're in a completely different conversation than you were a couple of weeks ago when Mississippi State swept you here in Oxford. Now, you win the series against Florida. Obviously, we know how that happened. Sweeps galore, and then here we are with the Rebels 8-7. They'll play midweek against Murray State before heading off to play Tennessee in a 3-game set. And then they come here to face the Georgia Bulldogs, who, oddly enough, lost 2 out of 3 to Florida over the weekend. SEC baseball is just insane. Here was Ole Miss head coach Mike Bianco following the win over LSU and the sweep over the Tigers.
Terrific. Yeah, just terrific. And, one of the things I've said to the team, to the radio was, you hope that a performance like that doesn't get lost in this game, It's a really crazy, neat college baseball game. But, man, he was as good, as we've seen. I don't know if you can be better than he was. Through 6 on a tough day to pitch, warm, wind gushing out. Really, I think 1 over the minimum through 6. And it's tough. A lot of emotion, and who knows? I don't know if we asked him about the no-hitter and all of that. Sometimes I think pitching with, pressure. Sometimes drains you a little bit, but he was super. He was super.
From a coach's perspective, what about this team allows them to stay mentally composed in a game like this?
We played really well, early on, and I think to your point, that's what I'm proud of. It's it happens. They're a good team. This league's really hard. It's hard to sweep, and that's you saw that today. Why it is, and you change the pitcher, and next thing you know, they put 7th spot up, and just kind of like squeezes all the oxygen out of the stadium. And that's not being critical of the fans. I get it. They squeeze the oxygen out of the dugout. But to their credit, they hung in there. You get a kind of a crazy hop play by Fed. Then, of course, a huge bunt, by Mosley, and then a great at-bat by Randall to get him in. And then, what gets lost in it is, Calhoun's performance. I think it's the first time he's ever thrown back-to-back days in his career here. And then, obviously, we weren't sure, going into today if Hooks was going to be available, but he said he felt really good. And then we still didn't pull the trigger until he warmed up and got hot. You know, asked him, you got to trust the guy that's been the best for you. So it's terrific.
You mentioned it a little bit, but what was the conversation with Mosley with 2 strikes and letting him go up there?
Just told him I believed in him. I said, you know, you're the best guy we got. You know, if I had $1 million bet on those fun, you're the guy we're putting up there. I said, get it down, try to squeeze, you know, turn around lower earlier, you know, take the pressure off you, and just get it down on the ground. And he did.
I know I wouldn't say with Calhoun. You already just have him hot, so you had to put him out there after 2 days.
And it was one of those where he didn't do much on Friday. He may have went into yellow, but yesterday, you know, he got hot and he was ready to come in anyway. And we just felt like, you know, it would be a mistake to try to run somebody out there. And it's kind of crazy, you know, that sometimes you have to play for the 10-run rule. He's already hot running out there. You run somebody else that's, you know, maybe not ready, not rush, and they run a ball out of the yard. Now you're playing, you know, 2 more innings, and you're going to end up using Calhoun and other guys anyway. So he was hot, so we just brought him in.
I know there's a lot of SEC season left, but how important have these last 2 weekends been for you guys?
They're all important. I know that sounds like coaches speak. I think the bigger takeaway is, you know, we got kicked in the gut on our own field a couple of weeks ago, and you know, we could have went in a different direction, but they didn't. You know, credit them. You know, I think you guys asked, and Furnace and other guys said, no, we're going to be fine. We got leadership, and we're going to be good. And get to this point, you know, that's shown up. You know, those guys have played, you know, their best ball for this, you know, the last couple of weeks. But that's, I think, the biggest takeaway from that.
You mentioned, you know, getting kicked in the gut on the home field. Do you think it was a good thing to maybe go on the road and get a series like that, following a series at home?
I don't know. I think you just want to play well. I don't know if it matters on the road. I mean, you want to go play good baseball, and, you know. So, yeah, I never looked at it that way.
Hey, Coach, is somewhat playing it off another win. You know, maybe some aren't as important as others. But I can promise you, this one for the former Tiger catcher, probably just a little bit sweeter than other wins throughout the SEC. Dom Decker had a big game too. Kind of waiting for him to kind of blow up, if you will. He had a big day today at the plate. Here's Dom Decker following the win over LSU as the Rebels sweep the Tigers here in Oxford.
Dom, what is it about this team that allows you guys to stay mentally focused in a game like this?
Yeah, I think the big thing is that we're really close, and we got a lot of belief in one another, and even like have a long inning in the 7th, and they ended up tying it up. We still went back in the dugout, knew we were going to win, and didn't really let it phase us. And a lot of belief in one another. Had a lot of belief that Calhoun was going to get us out of it and give us another good inning. A lot of belief in Hooks at the end that he was going to get us out of the game. So I think that's the biggest thing. Just a lot of belief in each other, and yeah.
2 really big series wins for you guys. Won 7th week. Overall, just how important have these last 2 weeks been for this team?
They've been huge, and kind of like I said last week in Florida, I was like that last inning when we ended up putting up 5. It was that was a big moment for our offense. I think it carried over a lot to this weekend, and it's kind of what we've seen in our offense all year, and we've just been waiting for it and knew it was coming, just a matter of when. And I think these last 2 weekends have been really good. So,
What's some of your impressions of Ray today?
Ray was unbelievable. I mean, he's always really, really good, and especially just watching out from second. If I'm in a shift and I'm kind of lined up behind the catcher, he was disgusting today, and he obviously pitched phenomenal, and he's going to keep being really good. So
overall, the whole weekend, it feels like Pena, who's kind of just waited his turn, got out there impressed. Just any of your takeaways from him this week?
Oh, I'm so happy for him. He's such a good teammate, such a good person. Like, shows up every day, he's the same dude. And we, again, a lot of belief in him. We all knew he could do it, and I'm really happy for him. He had a great weekend.
The Rebels would bang out 14 hits en route to the 8-7 win. It was a little bit of a head scratcher there in the 7th, as kind of wondering, is this game going to get away from the Rebels? But I do think one thing that Mike Bianco pointed out, the leadership on this team, specifically Will Furness, Judge Udemark, and others, have really paved the way for this team. The Rebels now, once again, 8-7 in the conference. The Rebels back alive in the SEC at 8-7. It's a logjam there in the middle, and the Rebels are clearly there, and an opportunity to continue to inch up. RPI kind of taking a ding, that strength of schedule is right at around 5. The Rebels should be sitting really good, continuing to mount wins, but should be really good sitting for tournament time. Now, at this point, you start counting backwards. How many wins it take to host here in Oxford at Swayze Field? Brad Logan here for the Talk of Champions. Full coverage of the Rebels, obviously. We'll have Pete Nakos of On3's Sports tomorrow with Ben Garrett and I. Also working on some other guests, as we appreciate all of you following along here on the Talk of Champions. Rebels win 8-7. They sweep the Tigers.
They sweep the Tigers. Well reported, my friend Brad. That is good stuff.
By the way, and everybody's lighting me up. Yes, that was incorrect. I turned around. The next home game is Murray State. The next game is Southern Miss at Pearl. So I turned around, looked at the scoreboard, and saw Murray State the next game. I misread it. Apologies. But, yeah, they've got Southern Miss on Tuesday night. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot going into Ole Miss's favor right now with that big sweep over LSU. Real quick, Ben, I think the season just completely changes. Not only the season, not just winning the series, but sweeping LSU and winning 3 games almost alleviates some of those earlier losses and puts Ole Miss in a really good position.
Absolutely. It's an absolutely critical time for – it was a critical time for Ole Miss baseball to get things turned around. I think Mike's quote in regards to it could have gone one or two ways after Mississippi State.
Right.
And for it to turn this way, and you had to have some magic in Gainesville in that 9th inning with Judd Udemark, it's a testament to the leadership of this team, to the quality of players on this team, and now they're right where they need to be as they try to barrel towards a regional host for Ole Miss, the second in back-to-back years. So we'll see if they're able to get it done. But the road does not get any easier. You mentioned Southern Miss, ranked Southern Miss in Pearl. The remaining schedule includes a weekend trip to Tennessee, number 5 Georgia at home, number 6 Arkansas, and number 16 Arkansas at their place, home against number 10 Texas A&M, and away against number 11 Alabama. It does not get any easier for Ole Miss, thus explaining why getting that sweep specifically was so critically important for Ole Miss against a quality LSU team that has not been the same LSU team, certainly as last year winning national championship, but this is a quality LSU team with a similar resume, and you swept them out of Oxford, Mississippi. That was critically important. Before we get out of here, Brad, what are you most paying attention to this week in Ole Miss sports? We got this Wednesday. I meant to mention that Brad, at the end of his report, said working on other guests. One of those guests is Ole Miss hitting coach Mike Clement, and that's my dude. Y'all know that. He's coming on Wednesday. Been a very highly requested guy, so y'all make sure to be jumping in the chat. Mike's just the best, man. He agreed to it immediately, and he's certainly feeling better about things today than he was, and he won't be the only guest that we get this week. And don't forget that tomorrow at 6 p.m. is the evening show, and it comes on the same day we get viewing availability for practice, so it's going to be a full-on football spring practice, Ole Miss spring practice football show on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. I don't know if it'll be Brad with me. If he wants to be, he's, of course, always welcome. But tomorrow we will be live with Talk of Champions at 6 with a full spring football report, as we typically do now on every single Tuesday. But what are you most paying attention to this week in Ole Miss sports?
Well, I'll say this. As soon as Ole Miss won on Saturday, I texted Ben and was like, we need to get Clem on. Because if he's going to be there to stand there in front of the firing squad when Ole Miss goes 20 innings without scoring a run, he needs to be standing there when Ole Miss is on fire at the plate. And to be fair, he has been there. He has taken every bullet, and he is also should be able to stand there and take the praise for when the team finds a way to hit. You and I both knew that this team was going to come out of its shell, and boy, did they. So I'm excited to talk with Clem on Wednesday. How do they respond? Obviously tomorrow night on Tuesday against Southern Miss, but more importantly, how do they respond on the road at Tennessee? And then you come home and face a really good Georgia team. The good news for Ole Miss, at the end of the day, when you have pitching that is throwing it or pitching as well as they are with the starting rotation that Mike has kind of filled some things out, I think what we're really seeing now is that this pitching staff is really coming together. And I think Joel Mangrum is a large part of that. And Mike has even said that. So I think that's a lot to see. I'm interested to see if we get any type of additional viewing tomorrow. I don't anticipate we will, but what will we get to see, if anything? I'm interested in that. But honestly, I'm somewhat, and I'll be honest with you, Ben, I'm a little concerned about the men's basketball portal. Ole Miss has had some entrants into the portal. I don't think any of those have been surprising. The question is what do they have coming in? And right now, I just don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. Someone asked in the chat about did anyone mention Richard Cross? I guess it's just different in Oxford. Did he say that in the broadcast?
Yeah, he said that at the end. He said it's just different in Oxford, Mississippi. So
Okay.
hat tip to our guy, Richard Cross. I'll answer
yeah.
this from Glenn Wakefield as we get out of here. Any update on the 2 new basketball assistants? Not yet. Bob Dunawald has gone to South Carolina. Wes Flanagan has gone to Georgia Tech to become associate head coach. Al Pinkins is staying. There was some discussions with NC State, or at least some interest expressed from NC State. Al Pinkins is hanging around, and Patton Pinkins is re-upped. That's the future of the program, his son. So building around that, I agree with you. It's been slower than it needs to be, especially when compared to women's basketball, or than you want it to be. Not necessarily what it needs to be. All that it needs to be is filling out a roster around Patton Pinkins and Elias Carmerdine. And right now, you only have one commitment. I went over some different candidates at the Ole Miss Spirit. We talk about it all day, every day. OMSpirit.com, affiliate of On3. New subs can sign up for half off an annual subscription, which is $50 for a full year. And we're covering it every single day. New targets, new visitors. Indy Okafor's coming in on Thursday. They were supposed to have Finley Bizjack from Butler yesterday. He ends up at West Virginia and doesn't come in for his visit. I think that was a mutual thing from both parties. Ole Miss has some redundancy already with Elias and Patton Pinkins in front of Finley, so that makes some sense. But, yes, I think that's a legitimate question and something that we'll be monitoring the rest of the week. For me, it's baseball, of course, and some spring football stuff that we hope to glean from practice tomorrow. We'll have a full report tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's the evening football show here on Talk of Champions, powered as always by Riverland Roofing, by the Hearn Law Firm, Game Day Haircuts, B&A Bank, just on and on and on. Alan Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Oxford, C-Spire, Advanced Technology Solutions for Homes and Businesses, cspire.com. Y'all are so wonderful to us and have been so supportive of us, and you as the fans have been so great at supporting these businesses. So thank you to them, and thank you to y'all, as well as Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group, 601-953-8449. That's 601-953-8449, quoteswithdrew.com. I'm proud of us. We went an hour and a half, and we didn't really deep dive into what Lane had to say on Twitter yesterday. Maybe that's something we get into.
I just don't care what he has to say. I really don't. And I know people do, and people get into that, but it's somebody that, he was really loud whenever, LSU beats Ole Miss in women's basketball or men's basketball, but he doesn't say anything when LSU gets swept by Ole Miss. It's awful quiet at that point. And I thought it was very juvenile to post what he did whenever, regardless if the young man threw anything on the LSU fan or not, when the LSU fan cold-cocked the Ole Miss fan. The last thing you want to do is incite violence, and that's exactly what Lane did. And I would expect his superiors and maybe conference office superiors say, look, Coach, I don't know what you're pulling here, but you can't do that. And so the tweet came, rightfully so, it came down. At the end of the day, I go back to what you said weeks ago when you said all of this will be at somewhat subsiding one way or the other on September 19th, because the hay will be in the barn at that point. And my thing is, if he wants to throw all these darts and keep throwing them, he needs to be there and stand there and take them if Ole Miss wins on September 19th. Because you can't make excuses at that point. You continue to throw darts at Ole Miss, left after right, punch after punch, to Pete Golding, to this football team, to this fan base, to this Ole Miss administration. If Ole Miss wins on September 19th, it's time to stand up on the podium and take it. We know he probably won't, but that would be the right thing to do. I hated to see what I saw. I know a lot of people were making jokes out of it, but boy, that was a tough scene. And you really hate to see anything like that happen in the outfield.
It was bad. One, don't throw beer on opposing fans. I don't know who did it. I don't know if it's a kid or not.
Yeah.
Number two, you're a grown ass man. Get out of the student section. You're asking for trouble. All right. So acknowledging that whole scene was ugly by itself. This is the most Lane Kiffin thing ever. No one's better at deleting tweets. Say it with your chest. Don't say it with highway patrolmen around you. Don't say it, behind the convenience of Twitter fingers. Say it with your full chest. But no, it's easy to say and go, oh, I was just playing and hit delete. This man has no convictions except the conviction of himself. He loves him some Lane Kiffin. And if anybody can act like the way he's been behaving, and that is the latest salvo he's thrown unprovoked, I'll simply
he inserted himself in that conversation.
Yep. I mean, he talks in Instagram reels. What did he say coming into the weekend? He put out an Instagram reel, or reposted one that said, this is personal. Well, if it is personal, how did that taste? How did a sweet taste shoved down your throat? Or is it only personal? It's only personal when it goes your way. I agree with Brad. Just stand on it, dude. Stand on it.
Trinidad Chambliss is standing on it. Austin Simmons is standing on it.
Stand on it.
What they posted?
Mm-hmm. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. Don't say it with highway patrolmen around you. Don't say it.
September 19th is all I'm saying. We'll know soon enough. And if he comes in and the Tigers come in and they win 31-17, hey, it's your social space, Lane. Have at it. Yeah. You deserved it. But if it's not the case,
absolute ungrateful person,
what's going to happen?
Mean-spirited, petty.
I do hope. All jokes aside, at some point, I do hope that Lane will call Trinidad Chambliss. I hope he will call Trinidad Chambliss and call Kewan Lacey if he hasn't done this already, and honestly apologize to those two young men for not allowing them to be propped up where they should have been for the Heisman Trophy, instead of taking all the limelight for himself when he was job searching. I truly believe he does that one day.
Brad,
I hope he does that one day.
I hope you don't hold your breath, because, buddy, you're going to die. This is the same man that won't even mention Trinidad's name now. Maybe tomorrow we deep dive even further into it. You want the too long didn't read version for me and Brad? September 19th. This has been Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Brad Logan. That's the Ole Miss Spirit. OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate of On3. I hope to see every single one of you there. New members, half off an annual sub. Go to the Ole Miss Spirit, wherever you get your podcast, be it Apple, Spotify, whatever. Leave a review, 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. If you got criticism, that's fine. 5-star review. We'd love to have all of you contributing in that way, because going to the Ole Miss Spirit and going and leaving us a review, all those ways in which you can support, it lifts us up, man. We feel it every single day, and we thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. This has been Talk of Champions. Bye, Brad.
Thanks, everybody.